Well, everybody, Crimson Desert, the game whose primary critique is often that it looks too good to be true, has been delayed, which honestly, as we've said a bajillion times, with many different games, if you got a delay to get the vision complete, I'm okay with it. Delay it as much as you need so long as you can deliver on what people are excited about. And I've actually had the chance to play Crimson Desert. I played it at Summer Games Fest and played a pretty intensive sequence of gameplay and combat. And I was really, really impressed by what they were doing. Of course, it was a fairly tight sliver of what is going to be a gigantic game. So who knows how some of the more nuanced, smaller elements will work. Sorry, this sheep always gets me. I always chuckle whenever I see it. Watch the sheep's face. His mouth is just stuck open. I don't know why I find it funny. But I'm intrigued by it. I think it looks very, very good. And honestly, when people's primary complaint about your game is that it looks too good to be true, you're in a good position, so long as your game is real and you can deliver on it. The only main point of frustration I had in my playtest was that the control scheme it's probably one of the most complicated things I've seen in a game that is coming out in recent memory. All sorts of specific controller, trigger and bumper combos. You hold down left bumper and then you do this. And then to jump, you have to do right trigger, left trigger, right trigger. It can get very overwhelming. But I think when you're playing the game from start to finish, that will just become muscle memory. Whereas jumping into a demo, it can be really intimidating, right? There are also some other nuanced things, for example, the camera lock and combat aiming lock are two separate things in the game. So lots of people brought up that the combat lock on wasn't working right, but it was because they had turned on camera lock on, but not combat lock on, which for 99% of games, I feel like is the same thing. But in this one, it's different. So there's a bunch of little nuances like that can be ironed out and polished as they get closer to launch. And who knows, maybe when you're playing the game, again, from tutorial to finish, it's not complicated because you already know it. I'm sure if you went into an endgame Ghost of Tsushima save with Jin with the 4 different stances and you're trying to juggle that with enemies in the Iki Island DLC that swap stances and swap weapons consistently, I'm sure it'd be very complicated to figure out, how do I swap to this one and to this pose and to this, how do I do that? It's too complicated. But when you've played the game from the beginning, it's just muscle memory. So I don't want to hold that against it, because it very well could just end up being a non-issue once we've played the game from the beginning. But it's also because there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of nuanced complexity. And as you can see just in this shot, the map is freaking gigantic. It takes nods from Tears of the Kingdom. It takes nods from different Assassin's Creed games. It takes nods from games like Dragon's Dogma. It's crazy. And what I will say is the segment that I played had boss sequences and gameplay, and it also had some ridiculous number of enemies on screen at any given time. It was a siege battle specifically, and there were hundreds of enemies on screen at certain points. It was ridiculous. So I'm thoroughly intrigued by it. I'm very excited by it. But they've announced, as I said, that they are delaying the game until Q1 of 2026. And they actually issued a long statement as part of this, as part of their Q2 2025 earnings call, where they outlined more specifically what is going on, okay? So they started this by saying, before the Q&A session, I would like to first share an update on the development status and release schedule of Crimson Desert, which many of you have been curious about, Pearl Abyss said in its earnings call. Currently, Crimson Desert has been in the process of voiceovers, while also carrying out tasks such as voice or console certification in preparation for its release. Now, voiceovers being done late in development might seem jarring. You got to remember, it's not an English speaking studio. So if they're working on English dubs for localization, it would make sense why it's being done later. And it is something that I think, that could very well cause delays potentially, while also carrying out tasks such as console verification and certification in preparation for its release. In the case of marketing, we plan to participate in Gamescom and PAX West this August to showcase our open world build, and in September we will join Tokyo Game Show to strengthen our marketing efforts in the Japanese market.
Donated $10 through Super Chat. This game looks like it's going to shred my 4090. GALLLLL.
Yes, I do think it will. I think it will. It seemed very heavy, and it seemed to rely a lot on like upscalers. But I will say it looked really good. But it's not going to be a game you're getting 200 frames in, is my guess. Not to say it's going to be bad. It's just this is a heavy game. It's not going to be one that you're like, hey, yeah, I'm rocking at 250 frames. No problem. No chill. It's heavy. They say the launch of Crimson Desert, our first large-scale AAA console game, has been unavoidably delayed by 1 quarter from the previously announced schedule. This is due to longer than expected timelines arising from schedule coordination and collaboration with multiple partners for offline distribution, voiceovers, console certification, and other launch preparations. And what's funny and interesting about this is that they are not saying that the game is not ready. They're not saying, like most games get delayed, they say, hey, we need more time to polish and to get the game to the quality level players expect. That's not what they're saying. They're saying they are delaying it because of like delays in schedule coordination for offline distribution, VO, console certification, and other stuff. Like maybe console certification, they specifically like, yeah, to get it like verified on console and certified on console. Certified on console, we have to go and like the game has to be polished to a certain point. We need more time for that. So that's included in that excuse, but it just feels weird that they're not saying we need to polish it more. It's because of voiceover delays, offline distribution. So like physical distribution, maybe? Is that what that means? And other launch stuff. We sincerely apologize for not being able to meet the originally promised 4th quarter launch schedule. Please kindly understand that this is a strategic decision aimed at ensuring success on a meaningful scale. Okay, interesting. The release date has been internally confirmed for Q1 2026. However, given the change in launch timing, we will announce the date at a more appropriate time based on business considerations. Rather than making an announcement at Gamescom next week, we are grateful for your continued interest in our company, and we will do our utmost to deliver an even better experience going forward. So still no specific date. They're just saying they are delaying it to early next year in order to have more time to prepare for launch. It could be, and this is the thing where it's like, it could just be translation issues and things where maybe, you know, it honestly is, the game is ready. We just ran into problems with optimization and console certification because we've historically only done big MMOs. We weren't really aware of all of the extra hoops we'd have to jump through for single player stuff. Maybe it's that they genuinely think that they can do a massive marketing push in Q1, and so they're deciding to delay it, and they see an opportunity to launch maybe in like January, February, and they think that they could really, you know, blow some other games out of the water if they launch there, whereas this fall they might be, you know, maybe the competition might be a little higher, so they decided to just get out of there. Who knows? But I do think, you know, more time is good. And what I played this summer, I thought was really impressive. And, you know, it wasn't quite on the level where I was like, hey, it's launch ready. There were a few like little bitty things where I was like, yeah, we could probably polish this up and we could probably trim that. But it was not rough. Like when I played Marathon in, what was that, early May, like May 3rd or 4th or 5th or something, whenever I was in Washington, we played that and they were like, yeah, we're launching within like 5 months. And everybody that was there was like, are you sure about that? And turns out we were right to be skeptical of that launch date because it wasn't ready. It didn't look like it could be ready in time. This I was really impressed with, and I was like, okay, the game is real. It plays very impressively. I think like we polish up some of the frame dips that might have happened here or there, but overall, I mean, I was really impressed. And they said specifically that there was a performance issue that was tied to I think it was like one of the GPUs they were using, and it was a hardware issue. They were like, yeah, we verified even other games do this, so it's not even our game. Like, it literally is just a problem with the device. I was like, can you imagine that? Like, you're trying to promote your brand new game that you've spent millions of dollars on, and then it's like literally a GPU has some issue, and so the game stutters and be like, looks like it runs like crap, canceling my pre-order. Like, can you imagine if that happened? But apparently it does. Stuff like that happens like pretty regularly. You just, yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be cautious, and don't hire IGN to do your gameplay previews. But yeah, the game looks crazy. It looks absolutely insane, but they seem pretty confident in its quality. They just are saying that the logistical stuff for the launch is what needs more time, and that's why they're delaying it by a quarter. I do think it's unfortunate they still don't have a date. I think, you know, people are hoping to get one sooner rather than later, and to still not have it is a little frustrating. But who knows? Maybe they're just going to wait till like Game Awards. Maybe that's when they drop the date, and they just wait to see if there's other games that are going to be launching in that same area, so that they can have a week or two to themselves. That could be part of it, why they don't want to announce a release date right now. But yeah, it's been delayed once more. Once more has been delayed before. I think they've always been very vague with the release windows, so I can never remember if they've actually delayed it or if it's just getting more narrowed down. But yeah, they've now delayed it once more. Previously, it was set for, as you can see in this trailer, it was set for a window of late 2025, and that's all they had said. But now it's actually tied down. These like robot looking things seem so interesting to me. Right here, hold on. These things, I think that's gonna be cool. And then these guys flying around up here, I'm here for it, dude. The cooking mini games. Like, the game is just ridiculously huge. So, you know what? Even if it doesn't need more polish and time on, like, in that regard, maybe the delay of an extra 3 months literally just gives them more time to polish it up even more. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, please. It's like the game didn't even really need it. It could have launched and been just fine. But, I mean, come on. We're literally flying around on a dragon. This is, I think, what people are expecting for Elder Scrolls 6. It's like, okay, we could do dragon stuff in Skyrim. How do you take that up a notch? Build your own castle and fly a fire-breathing dragon that you attack people with. I was at the Split Fiction event, and I overheard that they had issues with Intel CPU PCs even when they were 2 months out from launch. Yeah, well, it's one thing I've noticed. A lot of the people saying that they've been having issues with Mafia: The Old Country are running AMD GPUs. Which is interesting to me. Because I'm like, yeah, my laptop, of course, the GeForce Now, and my main gaming PC are all NVIDIA. But a lot of the people I've seen that are doing these videos and clips of like their frame dips in the Old Country are running with AMD GPUs. And I'm like, that is kind of interesting, because Unreal typically plays pretty well with others, but they do have, like, I'm pretty sure, a specific deal with NVIDIA as well. So I don't know. But either way, Crimson Desert delayed once more, but hopefully for the last time, and it'll launch early next year. I'm here for it. The game is really exciting. The fact that I can just casually make a video being like, hey, I tried Crimson Desert early, even though it's a brand new IP from a relatively unknown studio in the West. And that video can pop off and do hundreds of thousands of views. It shows there's a lot of people interested in this. People are really interested in it and want to see more. And I'm one of those people. I want to know more. I want to see more. But it looks like we're going to have to wait till early next year, unfortunately. But don't worry. It'll come before you know it. You have so many games to play between now and the launch of Crimson Desert, dude. You've got Marathon. Plenty. So you'll be fine. You'll be fine. He took my thing.